Hello, this is CSC 351 and we're doing the next step in setting up a sample MERN project. In a prior video we did the development environment for MERN, and so if you haven't set up your development environment, definitely do that first and go through that video. But this is the next step, and we're going to set up a sample project that lets you play around with employees in a company and employee information stored in the database. What I'm following for this is a document that's on MongoDB, and I'm kind of halfway through the document because the earlier part of the document we covered in a separate video where we set up the MERN and stack. So we're kind of in this document and we're a little bit a ways down, and we're setting up a employee sample application. So we're going to pick it up right at that point. Let me just back up there again. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into GitHub and we're going to grab some code. I also have notes on how to do this in the document that contain the notes for setting up the environment. And if you go down below, there's sample project setup. And down below here, there is the GitHub link. And we can click on that GitHub link and we can see the code that we're about to pull down. So I'll just open that up and we're going to glance at it before I pull it down. And you can see that in the zip file that we're going to get for all this code, it has inside of it a MERN directory, and inside this MERN directory there's a client and a server directory. So that's basically the structure of what we're pulling down. I'm going to go back up to here, and we're going to click code, download, and it's going to grab a copy of it, which is downloading here. And then the next step we're going to do is we're going to create a directory to put the zip file in, and we're going to unzip the file and things like that. I have a File Explorer window up, and I'm under the C drive. I'm going to create a new directory here called MERN. And this is going to be a little bit confusing because we're going to have a MERN directory, and then once we do the zip file extraction, there's going to be a directory inside that called MERN also. So I've created that, and then I'm going to just unzip into that. And here's my zip file, and I'll just do extract all, and I think I should be able to pick the location of that MERN directory that I just set up under C drive. Okay, here is the MERN directory, and then we've extracted to here. Under this is our extraction, and I want to move this up a level because we have like that extra level from the zip file. So I'm just going to select this all, and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to paste it up at this level here, and then I'm going to end up getting rid of that zip file, that empty directory. So here I've done that. This person is just empty right now. I don't need that anymore. Just get rid of that. And then just to make sure we're correct, underneath MERN, we should see client and server, which is good. So we're going to go back to the instructions on how to do this, which kind of explained it in a more confusing way, I think. So I'm not totally on script with how they did it. But we're going to pick up, we've done the MERN directory, and you can see that they've created this client. It's showing the steps to create the client, but we've already done pieces of this by doing the zip extraction. Okay, I'm in the MERN directory here. I am going to change to the server directory. Actually, I have to go down a level, change to the MERN directory inside of the MERN directory, and then change down to the server directory, and then I'm going to do the first step, which is the npm init minus yes, and execute that in the server directory. And then when this is completed, the next step up is to install these following dependencies that we see right here. So I'm also going to do the np install of MongoDB express cores.env. Install all of those. That is completed. Let's just talk about what we did very quickly. So we installed the packages MongoDB, that is the database, Express, that's part of setting up the node structure. Cores is also part of that node structure, and so is .env. The piece that, we're doing the MERN stack, so we have the M, we have the E, and these are also part of the node piece of it. Node.js setup. The thing we don't have is React, the R. That's under the client directory, so that's why we're not doing that step. Now, this said, there are critical issues here, so we're going to run this npm audit step and attempt to fix them. That finished. Let's do a little checking around to see what's going on with the code that we're setting up so far. So I'm under server. Let's look at package.json. Actually, I want to see the contents of that file. I'll just open it with Notepad, I suppose. Inside, we see all the dependencies for our project, MongoDB, Express, .env, cores. That all looks great. We should also have this server file here. The instructions talk about creating it by hand, but we kind of pulled it from GitHub, so we don't have to do it by hand. Let's just open it though and see what we have in that. I'll just open it with Notepad. And it looks good. It has the same code that they're suggesting creating on the page. The next step up is to set up connection where we can access MongoDB Atlas, which is MongoDB in the cloud. Now, prior when we set up an environment, we did kind of a local MongoDB, but this time we're going to be doing cloud access. So we have to create an account under Atlas, which we can do for free, and I did prior, so I'm going to try to walk through the instructions, but I've already done it, so it might be a little bit difficult to show. In the setup instructions here, it says there's a link to get you going with this, and we will just kind of check that out, see what we have there. If you open that guide, it brings you here, getting started with Atlas, and the first thing we want to do is to create an Atlas account. Okay, we're going to go through the steps. We're going to register for an Atlas account. I already actually have one, so maybe I'll use a second email ID or something like that. We have a lot of options here for how we're going to identify our account. I think I will go with the email account. And then if we slide down here, we can go to the user interface to register for Atlas. Okay, I'm just going to complete this and see how it goes, and then I'll pick up the video after I successfully have done this. I filled out the form, and then I had to verify my email address, and after I did that, it kind of led me to this page here where it says welcome to Atlas, and it seems like it's forcing me to answer some things. I don't know. We'll just pick anything out here that sort of makes sense. How about other? And we will be doing, we might as well pick JavaScript on this, but I don't think this really, any of this really matters. Okay, we're going to choose the free one, obviously. Okay, we're mostly, I think we're going to stick with the defaults here. AWS, we'll pick the Virginia site since that's the default one, and we're near that. Let's see what else we should pick. We're just going to go with these defaults, and we're going to create the cluster. We have to create a username and password. All right, now here we have to be careful because we cannot forget this. So do whatever you have to so you don't forget it. I am going to attempt to pick the most easiest and also the most breakable username and password, just so I don't have any issues with it. So I've picked admin, and we will create that. But whatever you pick, really make sure you don't lose it. We're going with the local environment. We want to pick the current IP address. We might have issues with this later, but let's go for that for now. We're going to pick, we're going to finish and close. And we're going to go to databases. And we're going to create a, that doesn't sound, well, that's probably because of that horrible admin password I picked. I'm just going to close that. We are going to create a database. We're hitting create. Actually, don't hit create. That's to create another cluster. We don't want to do that, so I'm just going to cancel out of that. Okay, to create the database, I'm just jumping back into these instructions there. And the next thing that we're going to do is hit connect. It's the next step. So we're going to connect. We're going to pick connect your application. This is our connection string. We're going to copy this. Just a note though, you see how it has this password in angle brackets. That's going to be the actual password that we created earlier. So when we go to use this, we do have to remember to replace that, which it's telling you down below. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to hit close. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our MERN directory, and we're going to go under server, and we're going to create a new file. And we have to be a little careful when we do this. It has to be named config.exe, and then we're going to put that connection string that I just copied into this file. I have to make sure I don't mess up the extension on this file. I don't want a TXT extension. So I'm going to create a text document and just rename this extension here and get it all into place. So config.env is what I'll call it. Yes, change it. I'm going to, oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to go into Notepad or whatever to edit it. Of course, it doesn't really want me to do that. I'll just find a different way to edit it. I don't know what edit would do. Maybe we try that. That's going to work. Okay, so I have to prefix this with Atlas URI. And then I'm going to put the connection string in. And we're going to save it. I'll save it. Just to explain this for a bit. So we're going to be running a program, and we've pulled down code already from GitHub. Well, it doesn't know how to connect to what database. You know, it couldn't have had that in GitHub, what the database connection was, because it doesn't really know the database that you're connecting to. So inside the code, it has to use a variable, Atlas URI, which gives it the precise string to connect to the particular database with. Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this because we have to replace this password with whatever our actual password was. Okay, let's try this whole thing out, everything we've done so far. So change to MERN server, or wherever you put your things. I'm just going to do a dir there just to make it clear what we should have at this point. Config.env, that's the really important one. And now we're going to start it up. We're going to start up Node and hope that it's happy with everything we did, including especially that database connection. So we're going to kick off Node server.js. Let's see what it says. Good. The server is running on port 5000, so we'll be using localhost 5000 to get to our application, and that's really great. We successfully connected to MongoDB. Great.